Welcome to Season 9, Episode 43 of the Ubuntu Podcast. It's Tuesday, the 20th of December, and we're going to discuss what's been happening in the news and the community. I'm Alan, and joining me this week is Martin. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. You?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Not at all bad, thank you.
Super. And the glorious return of Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hiya!
What? Hello, how are
Sorry, you all just broke up at that point, so I have no idea what you were saying.
Well, that's good. So did you. So all I heard was the second half of hiya. All I got was yeah.
I was just guessing at what you were saying.
Brilliant, which was awesome. So,
Laura,
Mark,
I think you need to go
then.
back and record a proper hire there, because that's not going to come through.
Well, it should have recorded.
It should have recorded locally, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, didn't think of that.
Yeah.
You're
We're all
giving away the
good.
secrets, Martin.
Yeah, edit that bit out, Mark.
No, it's fine.
It's all natural. It's all part of the experience.
welcome back, Laura.
Thank
Mark,
you.
what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to? I have been giving the gift of games.
What, backgammon, cribbage, that sort of thing?
Yeah. That's, you know me.
Snakes and ladders.
So, on Twitter yesterday, I spotted a user by the name of Failnaught, I believe, was looking for people who knew of perhaps low-income families or people who, for whatever reason, might not be able to afford presents for their kids for Christmas, to give away some codes, download codes for games. And I thought, well, I don't know anyone who might want to receive them, but I do have a Humble Bundle account with an absolute buttload of codes which I've never redeemed.
Oh.
So I got in touch with him and shared my codes. So hopefully they will be going to someone who will enjoy them where I wasn't.
That's
so that'll
really
be
cool.
good.
Rather cunning. I didn't know. Is that valid to give away codes from for applications or games applications you buy on Steam? Is that?
I bought them. I bought them through Humble Bundle, and that generates a Steam code, which I'm not going to redeem because I'm not playing that game. So why not give it to someone else? They just add it to their Steam account.
Nice. What a very charitable thing to do. And Laura, what have you been doing since the last time we spoke, which was some months ago?
Well, I was going to tell you about having a weekend off and going to see Robot Wars recording in Glasgow. However,
Awesome.
something more exciting happened in that I
Don't believe
installed
you.
my first Snap package tonight.
Do you know what? I'm glad that you're on message, that you're finding installing a Snap package more exciting than going to see a television program about robots being made.
Gold star.
The Snap package, but even better, I can now call up emojis for anything I want at the snap of a finger, pretty much.
Awesome.
How was Robot Wars?
That was really cool too.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
It was very cold.
And now it's time for some news. And first up in the news this week, the Mirai worm, which recruits devices for botnets, has been infecting TalkTalk routers in the UK.
It's been spread like wildfire, hasn't it?
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't have a TalkTalk router, isn't a TalkTalk customer, and not really been following this nonsense, what on earth is this Mirai worm, and what does it do?
Well, you remember a month or so ago, there was a massive DDoS attack on DNS, which took down lots of things which used that service. Well, apparently that was this botnet, which was infecting lots of people's devices. And
these were devices
doing
that had
DDoS.
their original firmware and people hadn't updated them, or there were no updates for them, and there were default passwords or something.
Yes,
and
all
they
of
got
those things.
Yes, and
They
so
were
the
mostly
version of this
TalkTalk
infected
routers.
them.
Well, this is now the escalation of that botnet, is that it's now going after home Wi-Fi routers or
Yes.
DSL routers.
So these are routers which have a remote management protocol in common, and there's a vulnerability in this protocol which allows a newer version of this worm to find its way to the router and basically do remote code execution and take it over.
So I'm going to mention the protocol names because in most routers you will find these settings clearly labelled and you can turn them off. However, if you've got a router that was supplied by your ISP, they may have these protocols permanently enabled because it gives them a means to manage your router remotely so that they can orchestrate their whole, network. But the protocols are TR69, it's often labelled as TR69 in many routers, or CWMP, and it's a WAN management protocol, and the other is TR64, which is the LAN side DSL configuration. And both of these, so the LAN side one obviously is only supposed to be accessible from the LAN. Unfortunately, yes. Some routers expose it to the WAN as well, meaning that, you can use that to reconfigure settings on the router. And the other one is a remote management protocol, and it's things like default passwords that exist in some of the services. And the problem is that you can then remotely configure the router, and you can change things like DNS settings, and you can snoop on people's traffic, or you can conduct any number of other attacks as well. And the reason TalkTalk's relevant here is because they're just one of the many ISPs that have been affected by this. Although the advice that they gave, which was basically keep calm and carry on, was completely wrong, and they got lambasted by security experts just about everywhere, saying
this is not the first time they've been lambasted for their ridiculous advice, is it?
No.
Is this TalkTalk who are going to be storing all of their customers' internet access history?
Yes, it is the same TalkTalk. Yes,
I
the
thought
internet
it was
connection
them.
Records. Yes.
One
of the many custodians of that data. Yeah.
Good.
Don't worry though, it's only metadata.
Oh dear, Laura, save us from this.
So Windows is coming to Qualcomm's Snapdragon mobile chips, which I take from that to mean we're going to have Windows phones.
Actually, it's Windows desktop running on ARM devices, which, for those of you who may remember, there were Windows ARM tablets that ran something called Windows RT, which was a kind of built for ARM CPUs device operating system. But this is not that. This is apparently something which is magic voodoo in Qualcomm's new range of Snapdragon chips, which allows them to run 32-bit x86, so Intel AMD style programs on ARM chips, which is kind of magic, especially when you watch the video, which shows it looking pretty much like real time. They only really do one thing at a time. But when they launch stuff, it just feels super fast.
Does it show you how long the battery lasts?
No, they've been a bit trim on details. But some of the other reporting on this seems to indicate that whatever this processor is, it's comparable to an i5 in terms of performance, and comparable to Iris 620 GPUs in terms of graphics throughput. So it's obviously quite pokey. Which makes me wonder, although it says mobile chips, I wonder if this is going to be more a Surface type device this is coming to rather than a mobile phone, because it seems like it packs plenty of punch.
Right, and the reason why you would want to run 32-bit apps, 32-bit x86 apps, is because there's already a gigantic library of Windows 32-bit x86 applications, and so if you want to leverage those on a mobile device, with a mobile Windows device, you could argue that there aren't enough applications on a mobile ARM tablet. But if you're able to run all the vast library of Windows applications on that device, then that problem basically goes away, especially if they run relatively performant, which from the video it seems to possible. Interesting. Meanwhile, French computer science student Florent Revest, perhaps, has released an open source smartwatch operating system. It's called Asteroid OS, and it targets several Android Wear compatible devices. So you could think of this as like
Cyanogen mod for Android Wear.
Those were the words that were just about to come out of my mouth. Yes, Martin, thank you. You could think of this as like an alternate operating system for your smartwatch, which may have shipped with Android Wear, but you can put something else on it. And it's built using a bunch of open source software, obviously, and uses QML and Open Embedded and Hybris and lots of other technologies that are also used in Linux phones like Ubuntu Phone and Sailfish OS. So it's quite an interesting project, and I hope it sees ports to other smartwatches.
Since I saw this news announcement, I've actually ordered a second-hand LG G watch so I can try this out.
Oh, wonder if there's any chance of it coming to defunct Pebbles.
I don't think so because of the Android connections with the underlying bits. Next up, the creators of defunct anonymous sharing app Secret have launched Bold.io, an anonymous blogging platform. And this may sound familiar because a couple of weeks ago we talked about Telegraph from Telegram, which is a similar system of doing anonymous blogs. Although there's a couple of differences with Bold.io, which I quite like. And one is you can associate posts with your Twitter account. So if you choose not to want to blog anonymously, you can link it to, an online identity. And you can also create private edit links. And I thought this was quite nice. So once you've edited something, you can create an edit link and you can store that somewhere. So if you ever want to go back to that article or post at some point and update it or edit it, you can do that from anywhere, whereas Telegraph, you can only update blogs by the cookies that were stored on the computer that actually made that post happen.
But this does give you the opportunity to sort of have, store that link somewhere, and then if at any point in the future you need to prove it was you who did it, you can go back with that link, which no one else will be able to.
Exactly.
And it's also got some nice editing tools. The editor in Bold.io is very, very clean. Like you get a web page that is, has a couple of buttons in one corner, a couple of buttons in another. There's no, like, if you think of the WordPress page where you would edit content, it's quite bulky and there's loads of stuff all over the screen. This is basically a blank page with, type the title here, start writing. But it also has a couple of little features in the corner. There's one where you can turn on this Hemingway feature, which allegedly makes you type better text. But there's also a little pair of headphones where you can choose ambient sounds while you're typing. So
that's bizarre.
I like the sound of an enchanted forest while I'm typing my blog posts. I think that's fantastic.
And it's also, once you decide to publish, you can also publish it directly to Twitter as well, so it can go into a Twitter feed, and you can also export the posts to Markdown and JSON if you want to, reuse that source in other ways. So I've looked at both. I've actually done some test posts in both, and I prefer Bold.io. I could see that having a little bit more integration options over the two.
More anonymous than, say, just using Medium.
Well, the whole using your Twitter account is entirely optional. So if you don't use your Twitter account, you can just type any random name and there is no link to who posted it at all.
There's no, you don't have to sign up for an account. That's the real difference,
no account.
Right, okay.
Just go on there and rant.
And the real reason I like it is because...
Well, that's what we need on the internet.
More of that, please.
Yeah, more rant outlets.
What country owns .ph? Domain.
Oh,
Philippines?
Maybe.
Yes, it is the Philippines. Moving on.
Google has revealed 8 requests for user data from the FBI.
They revealed who these requests were targeted at?
Not exactly, no. They've kept that anonymous for, the user's privacy reasons. But this is a new law which was brought in 2015, which required gag orders over things like this, where the FBI sends a national security letter and says, give us this information, but you can't tell anyone that you're giving it to us. That sort of gag order now needs to be reviewed periodically to determine whether it's still a requirement that they don't tell anyone. And so this is the first time for Google that those have lapsed and they've been able to reveal that they've been asked for data. In this case, they were asked for the user's names, addresses, and length of service with Google. So, it's nothing sort of major and scary, but it's just interesting that this has come into effect now, and we'll probably hear a lot more about this going forward.
And I guess it's sort of a big deal that they can ask for the names, addresses, and length of service, because previously before the law that allowed them to do that, they would have had to ask specific permission for each time they made a request, whereas I think they don't need to now.
Right.
What's new in drones, Laura?
Amazon has begun trials of autonomous drone delivery in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, so they, there's been drones and things in America and stuff, and a guy shot one down, and so they think, this article suggests that maybe that's why they moved their efforts to the UK to trial it.
Well,
there's fewer guns.
The reason they came to the UK is because they couldn't reach an accord with the FAA how they could
That's
operate
true.
these things beyond line of sight. And they've been able to make that agreement with the CAA. So for the first time I can remember in ages, the UK is at the cutting edge of a new technology here because regulation was relaxed to not stifle innovation.
Yeah.
So
Like
apparently,
Sorry, go on, Laura.
apparently there's been 2 people signed up as trial people, and they live quite close by and next to a field as far as I can tell, and it seems to involve them having a thing in the field, and the drone automatically navigates to the thing, lands on the thing, drops off the parcel, and then goes off, and then the person traipses out to the field to get their parcel.
So
So it's just like a human delivery driver where they leave it in the field and stick a note to say they've delivered
Right
it.
through your door.
So
Excellent.
it's like a drone pad. It lands on the drone pad and drops the parcel off there and you wander out and pick it up. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Louise and I were discussing this and I was like, I'd be fascinated to know what the details of this is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really have a safe place box thing in your back garden, can you? No, I don't think it could open it.
Well, unless it had, some kind of Bluetooth transmitter and could unlock the box.
Or it just
remotely.
had like a weight, so like the closed and then like the parcel landed on top and it made
Like a
a trapdoor
lobster
drop
pot or
down
something.
and
Cat
then
would
it
fall in that.
Yeah, you got extra prizes like Amazon delivery, ripped to shreds with a cat. Yes. Moving on, Yahoo has been hacked again.
Hooray!
I don't know, again, apparently, but not again now, again ages ago, because they don't reveal this information at the point when they get hacked. No, that would be far too easy. What they do is they wait for a couple of years, wait until someone's potentially going to buy them, then they reveal all this stuff has happened a long time in the past.
That doesn't seem like a great idea if you want them to be bought.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And Verizon, the people who are planning to buy Yahoo, are potentially getting cold feet after the share price of Yahoo dropped by 5%. So,
This is the second enormous time this has happened with stealing of user data this year.
Yeah.
So, you can hardly blame Verizon for that.
In the last episode of season 8, so that's episode 42, you can get to that by clicking the season 8 link on the website. We embedded a link to a utility that visualizes data breaches. So you can sort of see by date when the data breaches were. There is just now this massive circle that encompasses everything. And then there's another one that just says Yahoo on it. It just dwarfs everything considerably. So 1.5 billion, probably just 1 billion, because I'm sure they overlap these two. But it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
very save us, Martin.
Ah, right. Well, Virtuix's adult baby walker has cancelled pre-orders outside of the US.
What?
What is this? What?
What?
Well, if you're a VR fan like me, you would know that this is the solution to if you want to walk around freely without fear of tripping over cables or running into walls or anything like this. This is like an adult baby walker that you get in with your VR gear on, and
Right.
it has a treadmill beneath your feet.
Can I stop you for just a minute? I don't have kids, so I don't know what a baby walker is. Can you describe this a bit further?
You stand in this great big circle with a hoop that holds you in position, and as you walk, a treadmill moves beneath your feet, so you don't go anywhere. You just have the sensation of moving, and you don't fall
Right.
over.
But a real baby walker is like
Yes.
being stood in the bottom half of a Dalek.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. And that is exactly what this looks like. This looks like the bottom half of a Dalek that a person stands in, and then they put all their VR gear on and then run around not moving, blindfolded.
But they say they've cancelled their pre-orders. Why is that?
No, they're cancelling
US,
the pre-orders
possibly.
outside of the US because it turns out this contraption is too massive and too complex to ship outside of North America. And they also own up to being sort of naive in their ambitions and what have you. And also they've invented the most ridiculous contraption ever. So that is doomed to failure in my opinion.
But it just reminded me that I had a go on a VR system and I used a light.
Awesome.
Did you fall over?
Oh.
No.
Did it feel real?
It was quite impressive, and I was very proud that I dropped into the two-handed lightsaber stance. Like all true Jedi.
And that's the end of the news for you.
And now it's time for some community news and events. So first up, we've got a thing that converts a thing into a touchscreen Ubuntu PC.
A thing?
Yeah.
It's a kit that converts
Yes.
an Odroid board, an ARM SoC board.
I've never heard of an Odroid.
It's just yet another one of these companies that make little tiny computers.
Like a
based
Raspberry
on-
Pi.
Yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi alike thing. But I'm sure people who use Odroids are now furiously typing into their email client telling us how much better Odroids are than
Yeah, that's how much
Raspberry Pis.
faster. Yeah.
Yeah, etc.
And
So
apparently it
what's
runs
in it?
Ubuntu Mate.
Yes, apparently. Yeah. I think now that if you get an Odroid with Ubuntu, most of the time it comes with Ubuntu Mate now. Which is curious because this is a touch device that you're creating here. And it comes with Ubuntu Mate, which is flattering and bewildering in equal measure.
Mate is very much an old-style desktop.
You know it is, isn't it? You'd think you'd choose something else for something like this, but hey-ho.
So it's got an 8-inch TFT LCD touchscreen, 10-finger capacitive touch input. That's all you need, apparently.
That looks pretty cool. $90 as well, so it's not a huge amount for
Plus
all
the
of that
Odroid.
stuff.
$90
Yes.
and $30 for the Odroid, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Next up, Ubuntu Touch OTA 14 has been released. This was back at the beginning of December 7th, I think it was. And it features a faster application switcher, new faster application switcher, a bunch of system icons, new visuals for the pin lock screen, additional audio codecs, some design tweaks, fixes for OwnCloud calendars, working alarms, that's a bonus. And the number of times I've seen fix alarms in changes that have gone into Ubuntu over the years is quite fun. SMS notifications now arrive while the device is locked, and some vibration fixes, and a bunch of other stuff, mostly bug fixes. And that's the last one of
OMG Ubuntu are running a poll, which is how do you install Ubuntu, USB or DVD? And the last time I looked, USB was 87 point something percent and DVD was 12 point something percent, which, thinking back, is very similar to the results when they did the 32-bit versus 64-bit poll a few months ago. I'm wondering if all of those people on DVD installs are the same group of people doing 32-bit installs.
Possible, yeah. But no option for doing network boot installs, which some people do, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Get your Raspberry Pi to do something useful for you. Do TFT and Pixie booting with automatic preceding.
Yes.
What's next?
Next up, Linux and Ubuntu.com have published a "What is a VPN connection and why use a VPN connection? Why use a VPN guide." So this is just like a primer for people who don't know what a VPN is or why they might want to use it to protect themselves from the government logging their internet connection record. And yeah, it's just like a guide with some simple network diagrams, just explaining what it is and how to set it up, which is cool. More of this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Super. What's next?
Lightworks 14, which is a non-linear video editor, I think, has introduced a brand new look and some new pro features. So you can make video with it. Martin knows a bit about this.
I do, yeah. Curiously, by chance, I found out that the Lightworks development team are in Basingstoke.
Oh, really?
And their product manager is in Basingstoke, and I needed to speak to Lightworks, so I went out for coffee with them last week.
Excellent.
And got the full SP on this.
Have they switched to Ubuntu Mate yet?
Well, they're in the process, actually, as it happens. Yeah, that's coming soon. Yeah.
Did you do an interview?
Not yet, no, but I think if we come back for a season 10, that could be on the cards, yeah. But the crux of this release is that the Lightworks has been sort of used by big budget films and documentaries in the past, and they've identified that the growth market for video editing is the independent creators on YouTube and things like YouTube, and they needed to change their user interface around to target those users. They've had some independent study done that says by 2020, 80% of internet traffic is going to be video. So they want to make sure that their editor is up to snuff for meeting that demand.
Maybe we should produce a video version of this podcast and maybe share it on a popular video sharing site.
Yes, but not YouTube. Nice. I hear that's rubbish.
Moving on. Nathan Haynes, who's a Ubuntu community member from Southwest America, has blogged about his experience at UbuCon Europe. He flew over for the UbuCon and that, especially if you're interested in up your own UbuCon anywhere in the world. You can learn a bit about what happens.
Dustin Kirkland has put up some slides, Ubuntu 16.04 LTS Security, a comprehensive overview. These are presentation slides. There are 51 of them, but they're quite light. Each one is quite lightweight in terms of the word density, and it covers what Ubuntu does to secure Ubuntu, how the underlying technologies work, and when the features took effect in Ubuntu. So if you're curious to know what all of the security mitigations that exist in Ubuntu are, you can go and have a look at those slides and find out.
Oh. Next up, OMG Ubuntu has published the best Linux app and distro releases in 2016. Now, what do you suppose they say the best distro release was in 2016?
Ubuntu. Ubuntu.
Mint.
It is, of course, Ubuntu 16.04 LTS.
No. Who'd have thought it?
They also mention KDN Live, Corebird, GNOME, Mate, Ubuntu OTA 12, and Fedora 25. So yeah, check them out.
KDE Neon User LTS Edition is now out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
Do you still KDE, Mark?
I don't, but I've been considering giving KDE Neon a go when I have something spare that I can put it on.
Allegedly, this is the one that will suck you in.
Yes, I've heard lots of good things about it. But it's interesting they're doing an LTS release. I thought the point was that it was like just whatever's out at this very second. But it's kind of interesting to see that they're going that way.
So reading what Jonathan wrote, he said that, Neon is there to deliver the Plasma experience in all of its forms. So they're doing this LTS release so you can just keep updated with the LTS version. So this is KDE Plasma 5.8. And by using this LTS version, when KDE Plasma 5.9 comes along, you won't be automatically upgraded to it. You will stay on the LTS version of KDE Plasma. So you've now got the option to continually roll with their dev work, or you can stick with something stable. I think this will please a lot of people because KDE Neon has been proving very popular.
Yeah, great.
And in other related news, Linux Mint, there's an article written by Brian Fagioli. I'm going to go with Fagioli, where he writes about how Clem from the Linux Mint project has been grateful to the Ubuntu team for their help in packaging up the KDE parts that they use within the Mint KDE spin. It's worth a read. It gives a little bit of info about what they use in Mint. Nice to see this kind of cross distro helping one team, helping another team out.
And in more minty news, Linux Mint 18.1 has been released. Still based on Ubuntu 16.04, as is the new release model for Linux Mint. And in this version, the main Linux Mint edition, it now comes with Cinnamon 3.2, and the Mate edition comes with Mate 1.16. And I imagine the XFCE and KDE versions that usually come out a few weeks after will follow in due course.
Leo Arias has blogged about testing stable release updates on Ubuntu. So this is where, is this for LTSs specifically?
Well, not really, because stable release updates happen to any release that's already been...
Right.
Because the LTS lives for a long time, and Leo specifically works on Snappy and Snapcraft, I think the post is more about how you can get the latest and greatest Snappy and Snapcraft stuff on an LTS release before everyone else, so you can test it before it hits the final release.
So as we record this on the Tuesday, last Friday, there was new releases of Snapd and Snapcraft, and they're currently sitting in proposed, waiting to be signed off. So he's written this up. So if you want to try out the new stuff, you can go and enable the proposed repository, get the new features and test them, and contribute to the testing and QA process.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on to some events that are coming up. Chaos Communication Congress is up from the 27th to the 30th of December in Hamburg, Germany. It's the annual symposium and hacker party of the Chaos Computer Club. And during 4 days between Christmas and New Year, thousands of hackers, technology freaks, artists, and utopians, digital security, and making and breaking. And usually a bunch of videos come out of that after the event.
That sounds fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good event. Next up, we have Bad Hack, which is the Basingstoke and Dean Makerspace. Their next meeting on the 10th of January in Basingstoke, England. This is an emerging makerspace. We're looking to find like-minded people in the area to form a new community and discover a space where we can meet and collaborate regularly.
And linuxconf.au is going to be in Hobart, Australia from the 16th to the 20th of January 2017. That's not long off. Conference about the Linux operating system and all aspects of the thriving ecosystem of free and open source software that's grown up around it.
Cool. And finally, FOSDEM 2017 is on the 4th to the 5th of February 2017 in Brussels in Belgium. FOSDEM is a free event for software developers to meet, share ideas, and collaborate. I might
like to.
Yeah, I need to work out if I can afford it.
Yeah, I'm a maybe. Maybe I'll go. I'm not sure. See what the funds look like after Christmas.
2 other events to go to close to that, so maybe not.
I'll tell you what I am going to.
Go on.
There's a PHP Oxford festive pub meetup on the 28th of December at the Royal Blenheim in Oxford. So if you like PHP and you're in Oxford, come to that.
There we go.
We love getting your feedback, so please send it to us. Even the pointlessly mean stuff makes us laugh. If it's short, tweet us on @Ubuntu Podcast. If it's less short, but please no essays, email us on show@ubuntupodcast.org. If you'd like to discuss some of the things we talk about with other listeners, post on our shiny new subreddit at reddit.com/r/Ubuntu Podcast. Or you can just leave a comment on the relevant show notes on our website, ubuntupodcast.org.
That's all for episode 43. We'll be back next week when we'll be looking at our 2016 predictions we made last year, and we'll be making more predictions for 2017. And we'll also bring you some command line love. Thanks for joining us again, Laura. Are you going to be here next week?
I am.
Brilliant.
Yay!
Figured I was in the area, so...
See how accurate those predictions were, eh?
Yeah.
Not promising. We'll see. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.